Hello dudes and dudettes, welcome back to another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie review. We're continuing the TMNT train here with the next one in the franchise, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2007 movie. So let's get straight into it here. So with this movie, it's the first animated movie of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. We continue on the journey with Leo, Ralph, Mikey, Donnie, and this one is sort of like a more experienced, mature nature of the Turtles themselves. Now, I genuinely did not know that this was sort of like a continuation from the original trilogy here, because we'll mention that when we get to the end of the movie itself. And with this one, I have very fond memories of it. I remember watching it quite a few times growing up. It's one of the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies that I watched as like a teenager, because I was growing up with the 2003 animated series. I watched, as I mentioned, the first two Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies as a kid, but this one was the first one as I watched as a teenager itself. So I have fond memories of it, and honestly, I did have an enjoyable time with the movie. So rewatching it now, there's always that one particular scene that always stands out for me, which I'll bring it up when we talk about it. But if you are new to the channel, I'm doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie reviews all the way from the beginning of the movies, 1990, leading up to Mutant Mayhem, which we'll be seeing most likely on Tuesday, so that we can do a review of that movie and a tier ranking video for all the movies itself. And I also posted a shorts earlier on today in regards to unboxing the remaining two Turtles, which we see right here, the little figures. So go ahead, check that out if you haven't already. But let's get started with the movie itself, because this movie, the animation style, I really do enjoy it, especially for the time coming out in 2007. This movie starts off with the opening history of the Turtles. So it's mentioning how the Turtles have defeated the Shredder, and then we come back to ancient times, like 3,000 years ago. So there was this big battle going on, and basically when this battle was going on, the stars align, which apparently they align every 3,000 years. So at the time of that battle, when the stars did align, the leader of the warriors unleashed something where he ended up becoming immortal, and his remaining brother warriors all turned to stone. So we sort of get the backstory where this person is now immortal and is living among us. So then we cut back to present day, we're in Central America, and we see these villagers getting robbed by like these guards or these police officers or whatever they are. So they take off into the jungle, only to be met by the ghost, this myth of a ghost that takes them out one by one. We come to find out that it's actually Leo. He takes out these guards one by one, takes out the main guard, like the one that's been talking crap, and he then returns all the belongings back to the villagers by like having the car just drive to the village. And then we cut to April being there at that same location looking for the artifacts. We come to find out that she's actually working for the person that is immortal, Winters, I believe his name was, and she's actually looking for the artifacts when she stumbles upon the hole where she falls, and then Leonardo catches her. What I like also is that they have like this little like name tag displayed across the screen whenever you meet the Turtles. So like when he catches April, you see the word Leonardo written across the screen. And so then we sort of get an explanation of what's going on, where the Turtles are at that moment in time when in terms of their story. So basically Leonardo is in Central America, and we come to find out that he's left the family, and because of this, it's taken a huge toll on everybody. So Donatello is now working at a call center. Michelangelo is now doing like parties, surprises, that kind of stuff. He's dressed up with a big turtle helmet on, so he's doing like birthday celebrations. And we've got Raphael, who just sleeps all day and is a vigilante at night, but nobody knows about this. And we come to find out that the reason why Leo's been away is because he's been sent away by Splinter to learn how to become a better leader, become a better mentor. But this has been a year now, more than a year, and he's just not returned. So April's trying to convince him to come back because his brothers need him. And so as we cut to the rest of the Turtles, you kind of see this impact, this void that's left in there. And this is what I really like about this movie, is that it's got this more mature tone to the Turtles. You see that they're more experienced because they talk about the glory days, how they miss it. Ralph especially tells them that these days are over. It's taken a huge weight and a huge toll on everybody with Leonardo disappearing, and I just love how they're exploring that more. It's not like any other Turtle movies where you've got like the origin story, or you've got these Turtles together going out fighting crime. This is sort of after the impact of Leonardo leaving and what it's done to the turtles, which I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie. But then we come to find out that Casey and April, who are together, are working for that immortal guy Winters, which they don't know about yet, but he's the one getting them to collect the artifacts. So the warriors, the ones that turn to stone, he's collecting them all, and he's actually making a deal with the Foot, because the law of it is that they need all 13 creatures that escaped 3,000 years ago when this whole portal opened and this whole mess arrived. So the Karai and the Foot are going to be capturing these 13 creatures to capture them all so that they can open up the portal once again. So the Foot and Karai are now working with this Winters guy. And also in this movie too, you got this great emotional impact with Ralph and Casey. We didn't really explore this, and I mentioned this in the reviews. With Ralph and Casey, you don't really get to see them interacting as much, whereas in this movie you sort of have them having these conversations, Ralph leaning on Casey about the impact of Leonardo's absence and just having that heartfelt moment with Casey, and even Casey confiding in Ralph about how April wants to settle down and he's just not ready for that. So they are confiding in one another. But we have Leo returning, having that conversation with Splinter, having this sort of awkward exchange with Ralph, the reuniting that I'm pretty sure we were all expecting, where they're just saying hey, and then Ralph ends up going to bed. Splinter wants the team to be reunited as one. They want to have like good chemistry and good teamwork with one another. They end up being on the rooftop training, only to find this big gorilla that the Foot are trying to capture. So the turtles go and work together, try to like capture this creature, try to take them down, but they are severely outmatched. And those warriors that April was recruiting and capturing and giving to Winters are now alive, and they go and take down this gorilla monkey creature, take him back to headquarters. And because Splinter found out about this on the news, about this chaos that ensued the night before, he goes and tells the turtles that they can't go out crime fighting or anything like that because they're not a unit at all. And so then you have this little montage of the Foot and the warriors going around capturing all the creatures, or trying to get all 13 creatures. One of the creatures that they do end up capturing, Ralph and Casey witness this on the rooftop. One of the warriors ends up chasing them, only to be thwarted by the police. But we come to find out that they actually got Ralph on the shell, so he ends up collapsing at April's place, and that's where we see Leo, Mikey, Donnie in April's place. This is actually the first time they're reunited, strangely, since Leo's absence. But we sort of get the backstory, and they come to find out what the plot of the movie is, who this Winter guy is, and what they need to do to stop him. But because Leonardo is following Master Splinter's plan of like not wanting to go out, not wanting to fight, that's the orders, Ralph decides to quit because he doesn't want to follow those orders. And again, you see Casey trying to be the voice of reason, trying to stop him from doing this mistake, but Ralph ends up not listening anyway. And we're starting to also see, in terms of the villains, sort of tension in the ranks. You can tell that the warriors have like this dissent when it comes to the leader, the one that's been immortal, Winters. They're starting to like turn on him slowly, and so they decide not to capture the 13th monster because they know sort of what that means when it comes to them. We come to find out that the 13th monster is in some diner, and Ralph, as the night watchman, who is basically the name of the vigilante he's using, he ends up chasing this little creature in the diner, throwing these little pellets, spicy pellets, in his mouth, running away. And this for me is my favorite scene in the whole movie, is you've got Ralph and Leo having this little confrontation. So Ralph is fighting with Leo uses Ralph's anger to his advantage, unmasks the vigilante, the night watchman, coming to find out that it's Ralph, and you just have this brilliant dialogue between the two of them.
Hey, I was training to be a better leader for you. Why do you hate me for that?
And whoever said I wanted to be led?
I'm better than you.
Oh, you know something, big brother? I'd have to disagree with you on that one.
What I really like this is like the dialogue that, as I mentioned, the score that takes place between the two back and forth, the truth, the volume and the tone that these characters are displaying between Ralph and Leo. It really has one of the most impactful scenes in this whole movie, and I really enjoyed that. You can tell Leo's absence took a huge toll on Raphael, and then you can see the anger in his voice, which then leads to the fight that ensues between the two of them. The anger that Ralph has ends up breaking the katanas for Leo, and because of this he ends up running away, only for then Leo to be put through as like the 13th creature. He ends up getting captured, and that yell that he has, the yell that he does when Ralph hears him, but he's not able to save him in time, so he goes and tells Splinter what's happened, what's going on. And then we lead into the third act, where you've got the Foot protecting this home base this museum looking place. You've got Casey, April, and the Turtles and Splinter all going to go rescue Leo. And so you've got this big final battle, all the elements that are taking place. So you've got, again, as I mentioned, everybody fighting off the foot to try and get into the entrance of the building. You've got the warriors turning on Winters, because we come to find out that Winters is actually a good guy. He wants to capture the 13th creature so that he can close the portal, just have him be mortal again, have these warriors just be mortal, because he's just lived for way too long. So the big battle ensues. The Turtles and Casey and April end up entering the building. You've got Karai and the Foot working with Casey and April to go find the 13th creature so that they can close the portal. And then you've got the 4 warriors versus the 4 turtles, because they end up rescuing Leo. And you just have a brilliant fight sequence there. The quips that these turtles are throwing at one another with the warriors, the fight sequences they have, Master Splinter's enjoyment in this whole movie. I never mention this because it is a slight nitpick, but when it actually comes to Master Splinter itself, I love him in this movie because he's got so much maturity, his role model, his leadership, his mentor type of vibe. He is got like the best version of Splinter in the movies. But the voice acting, I feel like, was the wrong choice because he just sounds very nasally and very sick in most of the scenes with the way his like voice is coming across. That's a slight nitpick I have. But even in this big battle, the third act, just how much fun he's having, how much enjoyment. Even the line about saying we should do this more often, just really quirky and great. And you've got everybody battling with one another. They end up working together, kicking the warriors into the portal, but they still manage to escape. But that's when you get the 13th creature flying in, knocking the warriors into the portal, ending up closing the portal. And so Winters now becomes mortal and ends up turning into like gold dust. And then Karai sort of implies that the Shredder is still alive with her line that she delivers, and that's when we get to the final act, the final sequence, where Splinter basically puts the helmet in his little room with all the collections. And why I think this is now connected to the third movie or to the original movie. So you've got Shredder, like the original Shredder's helmet, the one from the 1990s movie. You've got the TGRI canister and cracked in the way that it was done in the second movie there. You've got the Time Spectre from the third movie, along with like the Japanese armor that was done in the third movie there. So all these Easter eggs showing there, which I just don't think is a coincidence. If you have like, let's say Shredder's helmet, fine, but you've got the canister, you've got the Japanese mask and the Japanese outfit, samurai outfit, you've got the Time Spectre, like it's very specific Time Spectre in the room. And then obviously Ralph goes and puts his Night Watchman helmet there. Mikey puts his Big Turtle Party helmet in there as well. So a really great way to end the movie. But this is why I think that the movie is connected to the original movie. It's like a sequel to the third movie in animated form. It just makes sense when it comes to that, but I could be wrong, so let me know in the comment section down below. But overall, with this movie itself, a highly fun, entertaining, energetic, gritty tone movie, which I find really enjoyable, not only from like animation wise but soundtrack wise. I really love the soundtrack in this movie. You could sort of say that the plot of the story wasn't as great as like other turtle movies because it's not focusing on the Shredder, or it's not focusing on Utroms or the Triceratons, but for me, even though the villains may not have been as strong or could have been maybe slightly better written, I still had a really fun time with this, with the direction that they're going with. Like I said, the maturity, the experience with the turtles, the soundtrack, the dialogue, even the animation too. Like I said, 2007 style, but still worked really great. So I really enjoyed this movie. It really was a great fun time for me. And like I said, they develop really well with Ralph and Casey. You really get to explore that more brotherhood vibe to them, and like how each one leans on one another, how Leo's disappearance took a toll on everybody, and then the camaraderie at the end. A great choice there. And so for me, I really did enjoy this movie. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, what your thoughts are about this movie. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Have you seen it? Let me know in the comment section down below. But that about wraps it up for this entry into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie reviews here with the 2007 movie. We'll be going into 2 more animation styles with Turtles Forever, and then even like the Batman Turtle movies that we're going to be reviewing as well before we go on to the Michael Bay movies. So again, definitely subscribe to the channel so you're not missing out on that. But thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening. This is YK Reviews.